welcome back to Finding a Toria. I am here today in studio. By the way, my name is Tori. I am here with my two lovely co-hosts. Say hi.
Hi, I'm Arcadia.
And
hi, I'm Malcolm. Welcome back, everybody.
Welcome back to your seat at the table. Today we get to talk about several lovely conversations, and I think we got to roll off to figure out who goes first.
Are we just yumping in right now?
Or
and
I could say, find us at wordleafmedia.com / Finding a Toria. We're also on the socials. I haven't set up the Instagram yet. That's part of my thing to do today.
Insta's on the way, though.
Yeah, Instant is on the way, and I'm going to hook it into the Facebook. You can find both Word Leaf Media and Finding a Toria on Facebook. And also, we have a Patreon.
We have a Patreon if you care to support us. Smash buttons on Patreon.
The button is on wordleafmedia.com / Finding a Toria.
There it is.
All right, so I'm excited about this one.
Do we get any bonuses for our roll-off?
Yeah, is this a straight roll, or what are we doing here?
I mean, to be fair.
Wait, you're talking about movies.
I'm talking.
Yeah, sorry. And when you're... Ooh, that's hard because both of you guys should have proficiency in those.
Let's go. Oh, yeah, actually.
Yeah,
I got backstory.
Okay, I'm going to give both of you a +2 bonus for this one. Oh, wait, no, take that back. Katie, you don't get a bonus. Malcolm gets a +2.
Mm-hmm. +2 for me. We're rolling initiative.
I was thinking of next episode's
This is to
topic.
see who goes first. You can't see this, but we are feverishly shaking a D20 in our hand right now.
It looks very pornographic.
Right
Not going to lie.
I'm going to bring it above the table.
We both got 2s.
2 plus 2 is 4.
Technically, he wins.
Bonus.
So, Malcolm, Are you going first, or is Arcadia going?
I'm going to defer.
Oh, wow. See? I started a trend.
Oh, well, I can't believe I just did that.
I know, right?
I won the opportunity to talk into the microphone.
You won initiative.
And you passed.
And I'm passing it over.
That's pretty awesome.
I'm really excited about the topic that you're doing this week.
Well,
all right.
Arcadia leads us off with...
I am going to talk a little bit about the Satanic Panic in the 80s and how it was impacted by Dungeons and Dragons and vice versa.
If I had pearls, I'd be clutching them right now. Not the Satanic Panic.
I don't know. I'm ready for this. Like, I want to know more. I'm just going to be quiet until I can't be quiet anymore on this. But I'd like to know what I don't know about it, because I assume that I know enough about it.
Yeah. So that was a piece that I found very interesting for me as I delved into this. Is I feel like we talk about it all the time because it did impact D&D. It did impact our world as children, and felt like, oh, I know stuff about it. But as I dug into it deeper, I just realized I didn't know the breadth of it.
How big it got?
Yeah, just not the extent of it outside of things like Dungeons and Dragons. It was just such a massive cultural thing on everything.
And now we have QAnon. I'm sorry, wait. Okay, wrong kind of podcast. Continue on smartly, my apologies.
And so I found that very intriguing to look at the background of the entire Satanic Panic, and then, its existence, and then how that then, when D&D came up into culture, it transferred into an attack on D&D. So really the biggest thing that I got out of it was, and I'm going to where I was really intrigued to find information was this really great podcast. And it is called You're Wrong About.
Oh, yeah.
It is by Sarah Marshall. Been going on for years. She takes on all sorts of crazy topics that basically people think they know what they're talking about, and they just really
generally misunderstood. And that's what I'm kind of hoping for, is that I don't know everything about this. I'm interested to hear what your research yields.
Yeah. So I'm not going to focus too much on the Satanic Panic in general, but try and focus more on its impact with D&D. Bird, yeah, what's up?
What I was going to say, is there a specific, and because of the fact that you're focusing on the D&D aspect, but was there a specific thing that triggered the whole Satanic Panic? I didn't know if it might not have been part of your research because we're pretty niche here, but
Right. So I didn't focus on that aspect of it entirely, but there were some commentaries made. Again, I highly recommend going and listening to her podcast because she's got 2 different episodes. One is just the
we
Satanic
listened to one
Panic,
in the car the other day,
and one is the Satanic Panic in Dungeons and Dragons. And in the first one, she really does talk about sort of its foundations, and I mean, it goes back for decades. You know, it goes back to the early 1900s. And cultural shifts in America and religion and pushing back against like some devaluation of religion and things like that. And so it's a very interesting listen, I would say. I just don't want to like delve into it for a very long time.
fair.
But the piece that I thought was really, really interesting was the idea that in so many ways, parents have all these different areas that they can be worried about their children. And a huge piece of, and I will go back to, you know, a key point of the panic was this belief that people were inappropriately abusing children, like as in sexually molesting children.
Like with the game?
Not with the
No,
game. This is the
was in
Satanic
general.
Panic in
Overall,
general. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, that it was an over, like, it was about like daycare centers were abusing, you know, molesting children and things like this.
Conspiracy theory.
So a huge origin point was to keep children safe. But with D&D, the piece that I found the most interesting is that you had all these reasons why, you know, children might need to be looked after, concerned about their activities, etc.
This was so great.
And the key demographic of people who played D&D, and I would assume it's broadened now, but not so far off, is creative children who get good grades and who are, you know, in generally just like
Good kids,
you know, like
Kids play D&D?
Yeah, good kids play D&D. They go to school, they get good grades, they don't do drugs. This is the demographic, you know, that was identified in the 80s. And
I'm so glad podcast doesn't involve my facial expressions.
Dude, if
Just
we were doing
saying.
if this was a YouTube segment,
Oh,
everybody would
God.
be like, okay, we get it. We understand what she's, yes. But yeah, we're all a little bit aghast here at some of the things that we're going to hear on this topic because this one makes me just clench, not my pearls. We'll just say that.
So the point that she made was there was no other way to like have a concern about these children. And this like fabricated a way, like, it's almost this viewpoint of, oh, they really can't be this okay.
Well, yeah, not when.
Oh no!
Not when the titles of the books and the things have demons and there's spells and there's witchcraftery going on and all manner of suspicious stuff.
Right.
And the witchcraftery, the witchcraft shit. This is the best part. They should be more worried about what they have in their fucking kitchen cabinets for the witch part.
Exactly.
It ain't gonna be found in the D&D book.
So we're gonna go out into the garden, grow herbs, kill an animal, put it all into a big pot. Chili is witchcraft. Okay,
It is.
Chili's more witchcraft than your local spell book. Anyway, all right.
Absolutely. But it was taking something for a demographic that there was no other area to be like to lay something at their feet of concern and utilizing it as a way for parents to feel control in their lives and to put that control over the kids. There's so many things that were going on in society at that time that they bring in that influence this. Things like latchkey kids.
Sure.
You know, you had parents that were both parents out in the workforce. This was fairly new.
First time in our society, first generation that really had that as the norm.
And now you had...
We were too busy stealing our parents' cigarettes than like causing crimes. Like, let's be honest.
And so you had these kids who weren't doing anything wrong, but their kids, their
okay,
parents didn't have total purview into their world.
Correct.
And this gave them something actionable.
Mm-hmm. And it was, and like anything else, I can't imagine that it was a silo unto itself, like D&D and Satanic Panic, where they're in a room alone.
No.
It was the product of a larger, and I think you bringing up the differentiation of the previous family dynamic versus what was going on in the 70s, 80s, and early 90s with both parents working. There's not now that one constant influence. So what was happening from a parental view is I got to keep my eye on all these influences that aren't mine that are coming in. Tune in 10 years later for rap music, sex and violence. And it was media and
Parental advisory.
Absolutely. So anyway, that was my first one. I think you all get one free absolutely before we start putting money in the jar.
I actually, just brought
A jar?
No. There's
Booze.
whiskey.
Booze.
Oh, we have whiskey.
For some reason, we cannot get away from the concept that there has to be a drinking game involved in this. And I would rather pay money if I can than drink bourbon because I say it way too much. It's not going to be good. And the barking you hear, we may as well address that we have a mascot in studio today.
He's a stage 5 clinger.
But Buddy the dog was not going to be denied access to his mom. So
sorry, guys.
Stage 5 clinger.
That's all right. Sorry. So I didn't mean to hijack.
No, not at all. And so I just there's so many there's a confluence of factors I think that brought it all together. And I really do think there was an important piece of that, which was you now had parents who just did not have as much purview on what was going on in their child's lives. And they didn't have the time, honestly, to dig down into it. And when you look at, I think offline, we had a conversation about this once. I think it's the Dungeon Master's Guide of like the first or second edition. And it's got...
That would be with him. It wouldn't have been with me.
The big red devil.
The idol. Yeah, absolutely.
Yes, you know, like Dungeons and Dragons didn't do itself any favors by putting that out as a book that is all a parent sees walking in on this game.
Oh, it's gotta be it's gotta be satanic.
Fires and apparently a big demon on the front.
And if you ask little Jimmy about it at the time, he's going to tell you all the cool shit about, well, I killed 17 orcs, and just so you know, I have chain lightning that I can cast anytime that I want to after a long rest. And mom's sitting there going, they've got my baby boy.
Right.
They've got him by his TSRs. And it's not going to be okay. So you panic a little bit because of the lack of knowledge and information to replace it.
Yeah.
Which is hilarious because I know at least my mom, and I'm betting money her parents.
Yep.
I don't know about your mom or about your parents. But,
Actual witch. So no. She was way to go, baby.
But my mom, if we were gaming, she was happy as shit because she knew for 6 hours we weren't going to go anywhere but a living room and a back porch, yell at each other, and eat snacks.
Same thing. If under any level of analysis, I think parents would be like, okay, you're literally around a table.
Doing math.
And yelling at
home.
each other. Yeah, in voices.
Yeah.
And in your home, and I know where you're at.
Yeah.
That's why I always thought it was, and my mother's a saint. So go ahead. It just, I feel like there's a bomb getting ready to come in this story, though.
Well,
There is.
so
I think.
but we'll see where it goes. But the piece that I bring in that really hit me is add in that you also now, these aren't just the good kids. Tell me yourselves the key demographic of people who move to RPG games.
Outcast baby.
They're fringe kids. They're people that their parents are already a little bit worried about. Tommy sitting down at the table isn't the athlete. He's not.
He's not on Spart's teams.
He's not the popular boy at school.
He's not the drama kid.
Susie isn't the cheerleader and the star of the school play.
And why aren't you out making a little money? Why don't you have a paper route? Why aren't you get out in the sunshine?
Right. So you have kids who are drawn to these games because it gives them an outlet to live out their world in a way that they can better control the outcomes. If they want to, maybe they're not dexterous or athletic in real life, but they want to be. Well, now they can take up a couple of swords and all those bullies, all those bad guys that are being nasty all day long to them in school, they can take out those swords and in their imaginations make justice happen. And the other group of kids that are outcast and fringe that you saw, and this got played into big time, is the LGBTQ community. And, you know, they saw, this is where like Mazes and Monsters and that movie and what it was based off of. I don't know how much people know about that, but the young man who committed suicide, he was brilliant. He was, you know, early to college because he was a genius level brain and all of this. And he ended up committing suicide, and they immediately moved to, oh, well, he played Dungeons and Dragons and they had him and all this. And when you dig into it, it's like you find out things like, well, he was gay.
He also had mental issues.
He had mental health issues. He had, you know, so many other connections that of areas. I mean, let's think about this. You're a young genius. Were you ever really very accepted in life?
Right. You're certainly not going to be on a level with your peers. So you've got, some social issues as well, and some challenges that have nothing to do with a game that brought a lot of people together that were not already included in other groups.
And so you had groups, and I'll throw out the fun one here. It is Bothered About Dungeons and Dragons, and the famous name Pat Pulling, who was, Patricia Pulling was basically the spearhead to get law enforcement and like got things on 60 Minutes and all of these kinds of things to prove to people how dangerous and bad this was. And a part of it was a reaction to this young man's death. And so it's like, on one hand, you can understand it, but it's looking at a correlational situation and saying it's causational without any facts. But it really, really fed into parental fears for their children. And again, you had a group of kids where maybe parents were already a little bit worried about their kids because those kids were a little bit fringe or outcast.
Sure.
So lots of factors. Very interesting to me. I think the frustration part I have of it is if any parents had sat down and actually learned or looked at the game, you know, they would have seen that it is, especially back then, it was the hero story. It was, you know, you were going out to destroy the evil and the bad things in the world.
And there were tables for like if you opened up the satanic book that they had and little Jimmy handed you a player's handbook, you're going to not be baffled by the evil that pours out from the pages. You're going to go, what the hell is Thaco? And why are there always tables for things? And that I think is scarier than Satanic Panic.
So my question is all of this is interesting as far as history, but what was the experiences? Did you guys ever have to deal with any of that?
Yes, because and this actually was recently. That was the weird part. They were like, well, isn't you guys do spells and stuff? And I was like, well, okay, my religious beliefs aside, any spell I do in D&D is pretend.
Yeah, well, it's a game.
It's pretend.
It's a game.
It's a game.
Yeah.
And so that was a big, huge... Are you really thinking it's still satanic?
Right. No, absolutely. And it's one of those things where for people that have absolutely no understanding of it, they may have more historical understanding of the Satanic Panic around it than the actual game.
How about you?
I did not. I heard things. I did not have personal things.
Buddy, get off my... He's on the line. There we go. Sorry,
Anyway.
all of a sudden I was just like...
What I found was a general, I guess, misunderstanding between people that wanted to know more about it, that would come to you in a polite way and say, hey, look, you know, I don't get this, and maybe you can shed some light on it. I'm not interested, but I don't want to. And then there were just people that didn't want to know more, and you heard a lot more about what they were saying, but nobody ever came to me directly and was like, are you in a cult because you do this? Are you doing evil things because this is your hobby. What I got was a lot of people, just didn't want to be around it, just didn't care to know more about it. And I think that sort of lack of information is going to offer space for things like panic, misunderstanding, mislabeling, and those sorts of things. But
I think at that point I would have cackled maniacally and did some random hand motions and watch how fast they run. But that's just because I'm me. Anyways.
Yeah, I think my biggest experience was just it led to there was other reasons that, you didn't go around broadcasting necessarily that you played D&D.
Cool.
But like it added to that sort of, you didn't want to go around broadcasting that you played D&D, which is really a shame. And one of the things I love about the modern era of role playing is that
gamer is not a bad title to have.
Yeah. And I run into so many more people these days that I wouldn't look at and go, I should probably talk to them about D&D or talk to them about a TTRPG or discuss gaming with them. And then you find out through a third party, like, oh yeah, he's been running a tiefling for about, and it's just cool that the stigma that was bad on both sides, not only the people that were anti, but the people that were in the hobby that would look and go, Johnny Football's never going to roll dice with. Well, maybe Johnny Football loves fucking role playing, and you don't have to live in one space singularly anymore.
It got rid of that. Was part of the hobby got bigger. And it gave you the ability to let more people in.
So my question on this, Katie, and I don't know if you have anything for it, but how did this ebb? Because it's certainly not what we live in today. Where did society go, okay? Or did it just become the thing that was no longer the fad that people were worried about? Did it move on to 2 Live Crew and other horrible evil emanations?
Sure. So with the research I did, I don't know that there's enough documented data to say, well, this is why it ended. But the theory that Sarah and her guest make on Adrian Daub, he's a professor at Stanford, has been role-playing for most of his adult life. And as they discussed it, their theory is that the fact that it was corporate.
Gotcha.
That TSR grew incredibly fast
and marketed themselves out of that position.
A ton of money. And you have capitalist America.
Sure.
And you have a corporation with money. And you have, a fairly significant societal drive against it. But we're capitalist America.
Sure. And
that by basically having a large corporate entity being able to defend itself,
sure,
it was able to stand up to it.
Right,
in essence,
with your leverage, you can have a bigger say so in your public image, and you can combat. Bothered by Dungeon. What was the name of the group?
It's Bothered About Dungeons and Dragons.
The only time I'm bothered about Dungeons and Dragons is when I can't.
Bad.
It's only when I can't play.
That's right.
It's the only time I'm bothered by it.
I'm often bothered. Maybe this sounds like something I should join, because when I'm DMing a lot of games, I often am bothered by about Dungeons and Dragons. I could say
I think there's a difference between bothered by versus bothered about.
Anyway, it's so cool. It's really good stuff.
You got any more on there?
Well, the other piece that I thought was really interesting, and this is sort of a tangent to our conversation, but that idea of the corporation, because they brought up that a part of the initial problem was actually that you had foundations that corporately caused problems. And it was the idea that, to my point of, Gyagax, TSR, whomever at the time probably didn't do themselves any favors with some of their branding and things like that. But it was, well, why did they throw demons into the game? Why did they, why are we using Beelzebub and whatever? Because that freaked people out.
Right. Those are names that, yes, if you have any sort of affiliations with religious or mythologies, those evoke images. Those are already,
Yeah, and you already have this societal drive against paganism. You have, because of the why am I not thinking of the right word? The beginning in, the 60s and 70s of Wicca, the resurgence there, and this push against other religions in America other than Christianity. And so now you have these books. They bring up Demigods and Deities as one of those early books that Gygax created.
It's at my house.
Full of,
That game,
mythology
it came with me.
From other religions.
Yeah.
And it's full of demons and devils from Christianity.
Named with traits and with in explanations of things. And yeah.
Yeah. And so the reason, though, that they brought that out, where I say it's that corporate tie, is that you could not, at that time, put in the fictional characters. Apparently, like Gygax had originally had things in there from like Cthulhu and other things like that. But the Lovecraft estate was like, no, you're not.
Yeah, absolutely.
You couldn't pull in the Balrog from Tolkien. You couldn't.
There wasn't a Hobbit in the book.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so that was one of those duh things, but it was like,
there's business going on behind it.
Like it's a business. You couldn't take things that were copyrighted, but you could take things out of mythology and other world religions because those were available. But that fed into people having something to be panicked about.
Absolutely.
And so it was sort of like a piece of the problem at the beginning was corporate issues, business issues.
Absolutely.
But yet what solved it to some degree is business and corporate and capitalism and all of that.
Makes all the sense.
It does.
It's how this country rolls.
Well, and it is, because if you can package it properly and show it to us as a people, we're not panicked about it anymore, because now I can relate to it, because you used a commercial device and a marketing device that appeals to me. And it's so funny how quickly we give up. I wonder what the disbanding meeting of Bothered About Dungeons and Dragons was like. It was probably just Patricia in a room.
Don't
alone.
Don't worry. They turned into Moms for Liberty.
I was getting ready to say, Mothers Against something
they
else.
Found something else to go after.
I was going to say, and you're going to see those panics in different levels, different stages for different things at different times. I remember some of our video games from our youth. Check local listings for how old we actually are. But
Parental advisory units.
Blood splatter, Mortal Kombat. Oh my God.
Get over here.
Exactly.
Fatality.
All right, man. Well, I could chew on this for a while. The movie, by the way, for those that have not, stars Tom Hanks.
Yes.
I don't know that it has any sort of production value that is worth, or what the budget was.
But it was popular.
And it fed for those that had a void of information on the topic. It sure as hell filled in some things.
I saw this movie, and that's bad.
Tom Hanks wouldn't lie to me.
Yeah, and I wasn't gonna delve into that a ton, but yeah, I mean, just for people who haven't seen it, there's a key aspect of this show, which is that a character gets sort of lost in the game.
Correct.
And which really, if people are watching that and that's all they know, and then they're hearing this stuff on 60 Minutes about how bad it is.
Well, and that was the thing. If you were a parent back then and it was on 60 Minutes, you better do something about it, because the Jenkinses down the road definitely saw the same thing, and they're not going to let little Tim. It was a lot of, this is information and I should act on it sort of shit.
I do believe, if I remember correctly, I won't give last names, but Erin, who was a neighbor of mine, was not allowed to play once her parents found out that we played. I think she had one character rolled up one time.
I remember that.
And she was not allowed to play it after her parents found out.
Really?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I think she was a bard.
Yeah, that would have made sense. So I mean, it was there. Parents didn't know and they got scared.
Huh.
So,
all right.
Glad we live in a different era today.
Absolutely. That was very, very interesting.
I think we're going to take our break, and we will take a break, listen to a little bit of a sponsorship type thing, promo type thing.
You're supposed to do these from now on, Malcolm. So yeah, a break.
Okay. Yeah.
Break.
And we'll be right back with more Finding a Toria. This episode of Finding a Toria is sponsored by Wordleaf Media, LLC. Do you have a story or know a person in our community that people should hear more about? Message the podcast on Facebook. And as always, you can find more Toria by supporting the show on our Patreon. Now back to Tori, Arcadia, and Malcolm and your episode. Old Mike.
Welcome back to Finding Atoria. We are continuing on our conversation today. We heard about the Satanic Panic and D&D from Katie, and I think Arcadia. And Malcolm is speaking of...
We kind of did the Tom Cruise Mazes and Monsters reference. Tom Hanks, sorry. Yeah. Mazes and Monsters reference, which is the only segue that I kind of got into this because on the internet recently there's been a lot of talk of the development of a live action Forgotten Realms show for Netflix.
Oh, yeah.
And yeah, so they're trying this. A lot of people on the internet are giving you their opinions of how it might work, how it might not. Tori has a couple. Once again, you guys don't have the benefit of video. Tori's contemplative glance up to the ceiling leads me to believe that she has an opinion on this.
Does Tori ever not have an opinion?
No. Absolutely. There's something. Whether I say it or not, there's always an opinion.
There's always something.
It was a facetious question.
Yeah.
So
no, anyway, continue on, Smarley.
It got me in my head about movies, and when we have seen live action attempts at Dungeons and Dragons, and people can go back and like the genre. There's plenty. You could go back to Conan. You could. I mean, there's all sorts of
Red
Sonja. You could do all sorts of stuff. But I kind of wanted to look at the movies that had the ampersand in them that were actually Dungeons and Dragons movies where they put the name out there. So this is a very high level gloss across 4 of them. And I'm going to give you little tidbits that I know about them. And I'm going to go ahead and say that in the next month or so, if you go out on our Patreon, I'm going to do a full review of each one of these movies.
Nice.
So,
I like it.
So we're just going to jump off with the first one, and I'll take you back because it was only a couple years ago. Year 2000.
Oh God, that one.
It's 25 years ago.
Good God.
And I know which one I know which D&D movie that was.
This is Dungeons and Dragons.
Yes.
And that was just the name of it.
We went and saw it in the theaters and regretted it.
Okay, so
I'm sorry.
In leaps and bounds.
I'm going to cite my sources. I was all over imdb.com and fandom.com getting little tidbits for this. And yes, this was the 2000 offering of Dungeons and Dragons, directed by Courtney Solomon, starring big names such as Justin Whalen and one of the Wayans brothers. Anybody would like an inspiration point for hitting me with the right Wayans brother?
Was it Keenan?
It was not Keenan.
It wasn't Damon.
It wasn't Damon, yeah.
Was it Marlon?
It was Marlon Wayans. Marlon Wayans was in it as well in a Zoe McClellan. But the big name that was in this movie, and the movie was not wonderful. The movie was
such an understatement.
It was not wonderful, but I remember thinking at the time, we got one.
Yes,
you know what I mean?
The problem with the
that
movie
was the thing.
It was like we're finally going to have a
finally
good movie.
Like, come on, give us something.
And it was rough.
Oh,
it was really rough.
I remember looking around at other people in the theater, not just our crew, like other people in the theater, and they were all had this like,
yeah, like we waited for this, and this is what
confused look on, confused, disappointed.
It was such a disappointment.
They weren't angry; they were disappointed with the movie.
The big question that kind of came out of this movie, and if you go and research it at all, the big thing is there was a huge name in this movie. And it was Jeremy Irons.
Yeah, it was. He was a bad guy. Bona
fide badass actor, all sorts of chops in this steaming pile of a movie, which if you love it, ladies and gentlemen, love it. I'm going to get into its good and bad parts when I do the full review.
He was the only savior.
But he was interviewed. And they asked him straight up, why did you choose this role? And his answer was, are you kidding me? I had just bought a castle. I had no way to pay for it. It was a paycheck, and he gritted through every line, and so that was the one in 2000. And what we know a lot, Jeremy, what were you doing there? He was like, "Do you forget that they pay me to do this shit?"
This is a callback to a different podcast, but was there an oubliette in the castle?
oublié.
That would be worth making that movie.
That would be worth
Absolutely.
making. So and I will move on unceremoniously from that one. Like it was just, but here's the problem. That was the best one they did for a long time.
It was.
It was.
So I'm going to take you to the dewy slopes of 2005, where we are set now 100 years after the end scene of the original 2000 Dungeons and Dragons, and this is Wrath of the Dragon God Dungeons and Dragons 2. Off the back of amazing success. Oh, you might be one of millions who didn't, because this was a $12 million budget film directed by Jerry Lively, and it was set 100 years after, blah, blah, blah. And it was released on the Sci-Fi Channel.
There it is. That's probably why I didn't watch it.
I love the Sci-Fi Channel.
It did
I
not-
do too.
And
but
I want it was the Sci-Fi Channel in 2005. I just want everybody to remember that. That was the name of the network that released it. There was no U.S. Theatrical release for it. It kind of did a few things that the first one didn't. This one was kind of the first one for the players.
right.
It had references from books. It had certain elements from the game that were in it. Like you had the Gem of True Seeing was in the game. The Ring of the Ram was
Right.
used in the game. So this one, even though it was lower budget,
They stuck more to the actual game.
they did. And the only actor of note, sorry, for my purposes in this overview, was Bruce Payne, because Bruce Payne was Damodar in the original one in 2005. Big guy, bald head, comes back and is now the big bad in this one. It was 2005, so they were trying to do some more digital stuff. There was an ice dragon situation where the CGI was just the Sci-Fi Channel level of CGI. Really was not fantastic.
I was either pregnant or had a newborn that year.
2005?
Yeah.
2005.
I had a 1-year-old.
Yeah.
So this one went kind of into neat places with the DVD extras. They were giving stuff to gamers, so they did little stat blocks for.
See, that's cool.
For the characters. Like Joe was a 7th level human, blah blah blah, and just kind of it was for the gamers a little bit more. So that was 2012 or 2005, excuse me, Wrath of the Dragon God, and that moves us down to 2012. 7 years later,
no.
they got Jerry Lively back, and they were like, we got another $12 million, Jer. And they ramped up the third one, which was based on a 3rd edition book at the time. And it was called, pardon me, I absolutely forgot what it was called. Just one second.
Works for me.
So yeah, 2012 was Dungeons Dragons 3. This was they're supposed to be all connected in some way, and this was the Book of Vile Darkness, and it was based on a not a module but a source book from 3rd edition, I believe, heavily influenced by. So yeah, they brought Jerry Lively back. They brought their $12 million in a bag and said, we need another movie. And this time it was released theatrically in the UK, but I don't know that anybody went to see it. And now,
I've never heard of the third one. That's the sad part.
Here's the thing: is there's a reason for that. But first of all, let me tell you, this was released on not the Sci-Fi Channel, SCI-FI.
No,
this was released by Sci-Fi.
SYFY. Yep.
In 2012.
That's
And the reason why you may not have seen this, the reason why you may not have heard of it, and it's very difficult to actually find it, just go out and Google it and watch it now, is this was promoted by IM Global, was the promoter of the movie and the distribution company that did this. They were bought out by another company that went defunct in 2018. Nobody has the rights.
Oh, so it's out in limbo.
It's out in limbo. Nobody has picked this up and said, okay, we're going to buy this property. We're not buying a shitty movie. I'm sorry, the company refuses to buy a shitty movie.
As creative director, I find that a very poor choice
Anyway, this was
We
released.
can make a better movie for $12. It's okay.
Yes. If Sherry Lively would like to bring $12 million to my house right now, we could.
We can do this.
But this one was kind of the nail in the coffin of these, and the game was waning in popularity again at the time. And they didn't do themselves any favors. Now, I'm sure that there were fantastic actors. I'm sure that there were talented production crew. I'm sure that these people made a movie, and I'm not here to poop on it. But we went from there, and we fast forward 10 years to
Honor Among Thieves.
the one that just came out, which
Finally.
seems to be, for most people, they are able to find
Honor
something
Among
that they
Thieves.
like about it.
Vindication.
Absolutely. And you got a Chris. You need a Chris for every movie. If you want it to be popular, you can take a Chris however you want a Chris. You can have Helmsworth if you like. You can have
Chris you want.
all manner of, but they got
All of them.
They got a Chris, and they made a really fun movie that represented well a lot of parts of the game that people appreciate. And it was fun.
It was.
And I think that was a huge piece of it, was that if you don't know anything about the game, you could watch the movie, enjoy it for just a sort of funny, storyline, whatever. But if you know the game, there's so much more.
They were rewarding
in it.
you a little
They
bit.
were rewarding
Yeah.
you. And so it could
the
appeal
Easter
to...
eggs alone.
Yes, the Easter eggs. I mean, so it could appeal to, a broad audience.
Have you guys all seen the movie recently? I'm sorry, Tori, you've been waiting to say something. Go ahead.
What I was going to say was there was the people who went to the movie and they were like, well, that's not how D&D's played. It's too serious. And all the gamers went, the fuck do you mean?
Like, that
Right.
is
Like,
how the game is played.
Once again, you are not Lord of the Rings. You are Monty Python.
Oh, that's the best. Yes.
Yeah. And
You are Monty Python.
and what people were able to do is, it was, I think for me, the movie was relatable enough that people could enjoy it.
Yeah.
It
absolutely.
was a situation where they did not try to just hammer it home for the gamers, the people that knew the game, and it made it accessible to the point that it has kicked off a very large resurgence in the game and a growth that we have not seen in a lot of ways.
Sorry.
But I just wanted to ask if you guys had seen it recently, if you had a favorite scene from the newest movie. I'm not going to ask you your favorite scene from Book of Vile Darkness.
I've never seen it.
Okay. I love the fight scene when they're in the market and she just starts picking up everything at hand, including the potatoes, and chucking them, because it is...
There's a feat.
It's so twofold there. It's one, it's very realistic. Like if
What's around me? Yeah.
if you want to win in a fight, you identify what's around you if you don't have a weapon at hand.
There you go.
And you use it. And it was funny because chucking potatoes at people. And it was something that you could see the game aspect to it.
Right. That you could imagine that turn playing out. You could imagine that. And there were a lot of those for me where I'm just sitting there going, oh man, that would be great if they were sitting and rolling it. So the fight in the market, Bird, what's your favorite scene?
And I have issues with this movie,
Me too, but
the heist that goes bad at the beginning.
Yes.
Yep.
And Honor Among Thieves being the title of the movie,
Right.
I was excited.
Right.
By the end, I was not as excited, but the fact that there was a crit fail
Sure.
on a trap,
Sure.
like you could see the mechanics of
Yes.
that whole scene
Sure.
happen, which I like that part.
That's
thought
what
it was
I
kind
loved
of
about
funny.
the movie as a whole. It is throughout it, you can see, oh, that was a really shit roll. And then there's something else that happens, you're like, and that was an at 20.
Right.
Oh, he lost concentration.
My favorite scene was the intellect devourers walking right by them.
Yeah, that was actually pretty good. It'd be like, oh, damn, that's
Because
burn.
they gave you a really
Burn.
big lead up to it.
Yeah.
You're sitting there going, okay, well, they're going to use this monster in a very wild way. Lots of build up. Don't think they feed on your thoughts. And you're like, all right, dude, here comes the roll. and they just walk right by them. And I'm like, that would be a great in-game moment.
Yeah.
To just be like, nothing of value here, moving on.
I do like the fact that the paladin is fucking insufferable purposefully.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And
absolutely.
at points, he's just like, don't do that.
That's my one. That's your two.
Oh, yeah. I'm definitely in the jar for a couple. I'm going to lay them on thick at the end.
But he lays it on thick and he leans in.
Oh, absolutely.
And
Yes, he does.
bam, you guys are bad over there right now.
It's great. It's great. The place I wanted to go from that movie, though, is what I believe is going to be their next attempt at bringing us into a live action Dungeons and Dragons world. And I think Forgotten Realms is as great of a place to do it. Another great thing about the 2022 movie is they had some nods to characters. In the maze at the end, you saw the animated party from the 1983 to 85 cartoon.
Yep.
I was so
Another way they fought the panic. How can you be upset
Right?
with uni?
Right.
and that was then the sheer amount of Easter eggs in that movie were just
It was really good. So I'm going to go around the table one more time, and I don't want to take too much of our day with it, but not focusing on the first three movies, not focusing on movies that are game adjacent, just looking at D&D properties coming to live action. What would you want to see out of a Forgotten Realms live action show?
oh, I want me some Elminster.
Really?
Well, and then I think Idris Elba would be a fantastic Drizzt.
Oh,
Big Panther Party, man.
God,
Gosh, dude.
give that man 2 scimitars. Woo,
Just
baby.
go. Love a little live action. Yeah.
Ooh. Sorry, it's got a little hot in here. Yeah, no, I think he would be a great. I'm sorry.
Oh, that's hilarious. Yeah, it just got a little spicy in the afternoon here on
That's personally who I would want to see.
on DROW. No. What about you, Katie? What would you in the Forgotten Realms world, what would be something that would translate well you'd like to see live action?
so Tori went directly to character and things like that, and I think what hits me more is I would like them to maintain some of the concept of the game, like the movie did.
Gotcha.
I think part of the fail of Dungeons and Dragons movies is that rather than highlighting the game as it unfolds, they try to do the Lord of the Rings epic,
Sure.
whatever, which, yes, they're connected, fantasy world, all of that kind of stuff. But the game is so different than that. To Tori's point, most of the time, you are not Lord of the Rings, you are Monty Python.
So instead of hearing an epic story in that setting, you would rather see things that were more game informed around that.
So I go back to the idea that some of these early stories, Dragonlance, Forgotten Realms, things like that, were developed not as a story first, but were developed out of gameplay.
Right.
And so what I think would be really neat is to show that within the storytelling.
Right.
Take those stories. They're wonderful stories. We grew up on them. They were fabulous. And bring those stories in, whichever ones. There's so many. How do you pick and choose? Do it well, but instead of like the Dragonlance cartoon, movies where you are taking the book and telling the story, keep that concept which they turned successful in the movie and show the gameplay in it. Show
Everybody's
Give
got to
nods
start
to the
somewhere.
dice rolls. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think that would make it more interesting.
Very
That's what
cool.
makes the game fun.
Very
How about
cool.
you?
Tori said character. Arcadia spoke about elements of it. I would like a setting. I'd like the high seas and the Sword Coast. I love
Sword Coast.
that.
Gotta have the Sword Coast.
Oh, Waterdeep.
I love the Waterdeep location. I love the stories that come out of it. I love the
Baldur's
influence.
Gate.
You've got so much there that
Moonshays?
yeah, you could go for.
I want to see the moonshays.
Yes.
You could go on for days
Oh
with
my
the
God, I'm
different
such a-
right. So
I'm just like naming off all of the Faerun shit.
if you're listening to this and you have a way to respond to us, love to hear the same thing from people out there. If you have not even an expectation, but if somebody handed like, hey, give me your wish list for what you would want in a Forgotten Realms live action thing. Love to hear more on that. I'm sure that there's a lot of conversation out there about it, but that was kind of my look. Once again, I'm going to break down every one of those movies into intricate little pieces and probably poop on a couple of them. But I want to do a deeper dive into all of those films and hear back from other people about them.
So I was just going to throw out there to your idea of people giving us comments. So you can give us comments. We're going to be putting Facebook posts out for all of our episodes. And when this one comes out on both Wordleaf Media Facebook site, as well as Finding a Tori's Facebook site, we're easy to find with those words. We'll make sure we ask that question. Please go out, engage, and let us know, what would you like to see from a Forgotten Realms live action?
Also, not many people responded to what monster they want to see a comparison on. I know you did.
Well, of course.
And Katie wants a blue dragon.
Well, yes, but then we discussed that. And
Yes, we did.
And we came around to a gold dragon.
Yes. But I need more monsters because there will be monster comparisons. So
Monster comparisons from different editions.
from different editions, it's how it is. How has that morphed?
That sounds very cool.
So
We'll be talking about that, and you can get access to it.
yeah, that's going to be a
from our
little bit of an
Patreon.
extra.
Absolutely.
All right.
It's been an absolute banger.
So you can get hold of us at every single podcatcher.
Yeah, we're really, really out there.
You were done, right? I'm not cutting you off, correct?
I'm out of.
Okay,
I have nothing else.
you can edit that part because I'm like, oh shit, did
I
I,
mean,
like
if you
just...
wanted to have a deeper conversation about the 2012 film Book of Vile Darkness.
No, I think I'll pass on that one.
Then, yeah, I am finished.
Okay. So you can find us on all of your favorite podcasters. Please subscribe, like, listen.
Click buttons, yo.
Yes. You can find us at wordleafmedia.com/findingatoria. We're on Patreon. We're on all the socials. You can... I will say this. If you decide to join our Patreon and you are an Apple user, if you have an iPhone, make sure you go through the website on a desktop, not through the app, because it costs more.
Oh, good to know.
Nice,
So
nice assist there.
FYI,
The Patreon app is going to cost you more than Patreon.
Apple will get more of
a surcharge.
the money
Yeah.
than the actual creators do.
Yeah.
Good to know.
Good
So-
business. Yeah, and if you like, you can get more Tori out on Patreon. There are several different levels, but you can get episodes early to start with, and then it goes up from there.
I think that's it.
That's got to be it. All right.
Thanks for joining us, guys.
Thank
Thanks,
you so
y'all.
much. Absolutely. We'll talk to you next time.